Tharshey and welcome back to another Ruse video on the channel. As you can see by today's battle, we actually have a custom challenge that me and my friends came up with. So basically we're playing on the Kasserine modded map, which is thanks to Super Crumpets obviously. And as you can see, we're playing on the Team 2 side. So Team 2 has barely any starting depots for one. So as you can see, we only have like 1, 2, 3 depots that are like close by. My friend on the left, which is Brother Penguin, he has a couple depots he can grab over here. But to get all these depots on the left side, you have to be able to take this crossroads. If you can't grab this, you can't grab any of those depots. So yeah, we have very few depots in comparison to the other team. So the other team, they can grab all the depots over here, all the depots on the mountains and everything. So they have a much better start than us. So the challenge for this game was we couldn't research anything. Yeah, you heard that right. We weren't allowed to research anything. For example, if we go and build a barracks, and let's say we are playing Germany, so your barracks contains grenadiers. You cannot upgrade them to Sturm Grenadier. If you have grenadiers, you can only use grenadiers. But let's say, for example, you go and you build a tank base as Germany, right? And you want to build Tigers. Tigers require research to unlock, which means we can't use Tigers. So yeah. And to make it harder, we didn't even pick our nations. We each went with a random nation and just hoped that we got something decent. So Brother Penguin ended up with Russia, which means he would be able to build KV1s, because KV1s don't require any research to unlock and use. My friend Thomas, he got America. So America basically only has Wolverines, lead tanks and stuff that don't require research. And for airfields, he only has fighters. He doesn't have any fighter bombers or anything. So we had no fighter bombers this entire match. We only had fighters from Thomas, and I think he has bombers that he does not need to research, the Mitchell bomber, I think. And for myself, I'm playing Italy, so I basically just had medium tanks, the flak 88 mil or 90 mils for Italy. And yeah, that's about it. That, and I had some anti-tank guns. So we had to just rely on everything that we could. And we had, you know, our units were not very technologically advanced because we weren't allowed to research to unlock any units that required it. And we weren't allowed to research to upgrade to units. So even like Penguin playing Russia, he could have had skirmishes, but because they required research to unlock, we could not choose it. And to make it even harder, we're going up against one British Air Force hard. So, you know, that's the best air nation. And then we went up against 3 prototypes. So look at this. This French prototype here is already getting FCM F1s. The Japanese prototype would be getting OE, HORI, and all of that, you know. And the Russian prototype will be getting IS-3s, skirmishes, and, you know, all the best units that were available to them. So this made the battle incredibly hard. We were going up against prototype units with the crap that we had. So yeah, that was just the challenge we did. So we also, well, okay, we all believed that none of us could actually use anything from our prototype aces because they all required research. Because my friend here, Thomas, kept telling us that. But later on in the battle, I was like, you know what, let me just spend the 125 bucks in check. And I discovered I could make the Caro P26 or M26 or whatever it's called, as well as the Breda 90mm dual purpose AT and AA gun. And when I discovered that, then I was just started, you know, making a lot of those to try help with our defense. So anyway, yeah, so that's just the scenario. Basically, no research allowed. We were allowed prototypes if they did not require research to unlock. And yeah, so Thomas, he was just going Eco and Air Force. I was going to just try hold this right side here as well as help with the middle if it needed it. And Penguin, he was in charge of defending this entire left flank here. So yeah. So let's just see. I started off, I put a secondary HQ up front here. I got 3 depots. I was gonna grab this depot, but then I was like, I'm probably not gonna be able to hold that, so especially early on, so let me not grab it. Penguin also grabbed 3 depots. He had 1, 2, 3 here. Then he later on took this depot over here, but he actually grabbed this depot up front, which was very gutsy, and we'll see if that pays off. But yeah, so the French is sending, French is getting an FCM ready. The British Air Force hard already got some Hurricanes. No Typhoons yet, but he's got Hurricanes, he's got some air recon, he's got some bombers. Japanese is getting Suse suck, like they're absolutely horrible fighter bombers. The Russian, it takes him a bit of time to tech up just because his depots are pretty far away in comparison, so it takes him some time to get supplies out. But Yeah, he's getting some Gobitsa already. And that was one of the biggest issues we had. Because I was playing Italy, right? My Breda 90mm were probably like the best things we had to counter their tanks because our tanks were all one shot. The KV1s, they were more tanky obviously, but they still couldn't really dish out the damage that was required. And so they needed to be a meat shield for my Brendas. But the problem was, the Japanese, they got OE. OE have rockets, they have flamethrowers. The Russians had artillery, so they would, and my Brendas have no armor on it. So one hit and boom, they're dead already. But yeah, so we're getting our supplies going. Thomas is trying to get some early admin money up. I'm also getting an admin or two going. And yeah, for now I'm not doing much. I'm just sending out some recon infantry, though they do die pretty early. Penguin is grabbing as much supplies as he can. He's getting some initial AA out, and he's gonna start also getting armor base and stuff going as well. Right now we're just dealing with the expeditionary scouts that the British are sending at us. The French, they're getting some recon and they're starting to send some FCM F1. And these are dual purpose AA, and this tank can also shoot air, like it has a forward turret. So yeah, just look at this beauty. Super heavy tank, extremely strong, extremely powerful. So I'm going to speed this up because the beginning is a bit slow. So I'm just going to speed up to like ×4 speed. Okay, so we have, yeah, the fighter bombers from the British and the Japanese coming in, trying to deal some damage. Didn't really do that much. Thomas was providing us with M16 covers because that was the only mobile AA we had that was, you know, pretty agile, pretty quick, and did not require research. There's Penguin getting his KV1s now, but he's gonna have to deal with an FCM F1. Like, that would absolutely wreck an individual KV1. He would have to have like 3 to 4 KV1s with some anti-tank support just to kill that one FCM F1. So let me just slow this down a bit. So yeah, there's an IS-3 coming through now, so I had to start pumping out the AA 90mm because I needed to get these out quick. I deployed an armor base as well because while these could deal the damage required to these tanks to actually kill them, we needed something just to take a hit or two while these guys shoot, because these guys have no armor or anything and they're very vulnerable to getting killed by the enemy heavy tanks. So Penguin rushed this FCM F1, and because he was fighting around the mountain as well, he could exploit, like, the FCM F1 couldn't make use of its greater range because he came around the mountain and started shooting it. So yeah, that was a really good play by him. Here's the OE shooting with its rockets already. Luckily it's going for the KV1 and not his armor base yet. Let's see what's happening. Gobitsa, yeah. The Gobitsa was such a big problem here. Like, they were just gonna start pounding away at my 90mm, so I had to deploy radio silence and stuff to actually keep myself safe. And just remember guys, we couldn't see any of us. Like, let me go to my perspective. This is what I could see, okay? So I had Lids, Camel, we had radio silence and Spire, but we couldn't see what any of these other units in the back were. We had no clue what any of it was. This OE, yeah, this OE was getting killed by these 3 KV1s. But let me go back to camp neutral, there we go. So yeah, okay, he's got more OEs coming. He's got some FCM F1s coming. The British has got, he should have Typhoons by now. Well, does he still not? No, he still only got Hurricanes, okay. And this Russian guy was just spamming Gobitsa, like, oh my god, that was so annoying. I just started spending so many Ruses on radio silence and camouflage just to try deal with that. Let me speed it up a bit though. So yeah, and you can see I was building up some more admins. I had like 4 or 5 admins by now. Thomas had some admins. He had his first airfield, but then again, he couldn't really do much. He could only build fighters and he could build fighter bombers. I mean, not fighter bombers, and he could build bombers. He could not build any fighter bombers. So yeah, he was just trying to run some interference fast if possible. Penguin didn't really bother with money at all this game because he had us producing money, and in R.U.S.E, in multiplayer battles, money is shared from depots, admins, etc. And yeah, so now I got my 90mm here, so they were going to try to deal with that IS-3, but I think I let the IS-3 get past. Yeah, I let it get past and Penguin had to deal with that. Thomas sent me some M16 as well as some Willys unarmed recon here. And for now, I don't really have much. I just have a couple 90mm and I have a light tank, but this infantry is actually a big problem, these guards and these regulars, because I didn't actually have tanks out to counter that yet. But yeah. Meanwhile, on this flank, the French were pushing forward. They had 3 FCM F1s, but luckily, you see, they were coming around the mountain like this, so they weren't exploiting their greater range, because like, let's see, they had a 500 millimeter, I mean, what am I saying, 500 meter range, and these KV-1s only have a 400 meter range. So if they were smart, they could have come like over here, waited over here, and just killed them from their greater range. The KV-1s would have had to rush forward to actually get in range and start dealing damage to the FCMs. But luckily the AI is not as smart, and they came around the mountain, which mitigated their greater range to a pretty good extent, and which is the only reason why we were actually able to survive this at all. Like, R.U.S.E is just such a beautiful game, like, especially when you're zooming in like this, it looks amazing. Like, I love the iris zoom engine for this. Like, the iris zoom engine was such a good engine for its time, and it was so new in comparison to previous RTS games or previous games in general. Ooh, please don't. Okay, it didn't crash on my plane. Ooh, Thomas captured the depot. That's good. Okay, let me speed this up again, because not much is gonna happen here. I'm just building money, I think. Yeah, I'm also building a lot of money over here. Penguin is trying to stop these AI, but you see when he pushes out here now, and it allows the FCMs to use their range on him, he's gonna get slaughtered, so like, yeah. Let me slow this down a bit. The OEs are also shooting their rockets and stuff. And Penguin is sandwiched. He's got his main forward HQ over here, and he has to defend this left flank, he has to defend the middle, and I'm just defending the right. Like, and the right is pretty easy, because once I stop the initial bleed through of IS-3s and Russian units, I could just set up a perimeter over here and just hold this bridge. Like, I could just make an absolute like death trap here, so anything coming over the bridge would instantly get destroyed. And I don't think, yeah, he didn't have recon there, that's why he wasn't able to actually destroy my 90 mils. So thank God for that. Meantime, money, yeah. So I'm making a lot of money, Thomas is making a lot of money. Penguin, he's got the depots, but he's not bothering with admins. He literally can't bother with admins. He has to spend and focus all his efforts on building tanks, artillery, AT, and stuff to try and hold back the enemy units here. Well, that was my help. I sent one light tank. It's so bad it couldn't even kill the recon. Yeah, the Caro M11 sucks. Oof, and now I had a bunch of 90 moles, as you can see, killing them, but then he rushed forward with some Gavardia, and my tanks were all dead, so I had to spam some tanks out. I blitzed my 90 moles away, but I did still lose one. Luckily, Thomas came in with these fighters and he managed to kill the infantry. Otherwise, I could have lost all my 90 moles. And now I actually start to build up defenses on the side, so I get some Caro M13 medium tanks, I get some 47mm AT guns, as well as the 90mm dual-purpose anti-tank and anti-aircraft guns. And I start setting up that firing arc that I was telling you about, that firing line that just dealt death to anything coming over the bridge. Like, just imagine you're this IS-3 tank crew, you're coming over this bridge, and boom, your tank is hit by armor-piercing rounds, and you're dead. Oof. Dead, yeah. They didn't even get a chance to fire. And the AI is coming over with no recon either. It has an air recon here, but it's not showing up my units here. As you can see, I had radio signs to protect them from the artillery fire, because all these units except the tanks are very vulnerable to artillery. But yeah, he had no recon, so his tanks couldn't even see my units when coming over. They just got shot and killed. Then let's see, what is Penguin up to here? Yeah, okay, it's not much right now. The AI is just building up resources and stuff. Penguin is just playing a cat and mouse game here, ducking around this mountain. Like, he seriously spent all the game just running around this mountain trying to defend and attack. Okay, yeah, he's got some OEs and some FCM F1s coming in, like a pretty big force of them. The Ruse were coming in, but let's be unrealistic, Ruse suck. There's no point to them. They absolutely horrible fighter bombers, especially in Ruse. And now the Brits had Typhoons. Like, if you've played Ruse and you've used Typhoons, you know how amazing these Typhoons are. And because they have rockets as well, they don't miss when they attack tanks. Like, planes that carry bombs can miss, but Typhoons no. He had a lot of anti-air, but it was still not enough. Like, you can see he's still losing tanks to these Typhoons. And there's a big FCM push here, like, damn. Luckily they are still coming on the mountain, but still. Just imagine you're one of these Russian soldiers, like, Imagine you're one of those Russian soldiers sitting in a KV-1 and you see prototype FCM F1 tanks attacking. Drops a Fanner here and he's pushing forward. All these tanks are on fire and literally close to death, but he's managed to rout everything because Thomas also dropped a Terror Ruse here. Like, normally Terror is never used in Ruse, but honestly it actually worked here because he dropped the Terror, he got them to retreat, which basically saved the flank on this side. But he's still losing his KV-1s, as you can see. But he managed to kill quite a few FCM F1s here, which was a really good thing. My side, yeah, I'm still building my line of defense here. And the Russian actually built up, like he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 or something IS-3s. And if he had recon, he could probably have pushed over, though luckily I had my anti-tank guns, I had my 90 mils, and all of these, all their firing lines, all their firing arcs, all their ranges were at this bridge. As soon as anything came over, dead. Gets hit by so many armor-piercing bullets, it's crazy. And this is where I start sending some AT to Penguin side, because as you can see, he's lost like all his tanks. Just look at all the dead shells. And there's some FCM F1s over here as well, and he didn't really have anything. He also lost his forward armor base because of the OE's firing. So yeah, he had to... And these KV-1s was coming out, being produced and sitting over here for some reason. Don't really know why, but yeah. We didn't realize that for a couple minutes at least either. Are these ice? No, Ice-3 is not pushing yet, okay. I'm pretty sure I kept telling Thomas to kill these freaking artillery. I'm not sure if he... Well, he killed some. I'm not sure how long it took him. I'm pretty sure I sent some obese, yeah. So I actually have heavy artillery, 210mm artillery. And thankfully it did not require research. I could actually build it and use it to kill the Russian Gorbitzas and stuff. So as you can see, I pushed up my AT guns now to try and help Penguin out as much as I could. The only problem was the rockets from the OEs. But besides that, yeah, so this was a pretty hard challenge, like not being able to research anything and having to go up against all these incredibly powerful prototype units. How much time to force speed this? Okay, this was the big push by the Russians against me. But as you can see, yeah. Coming over the bridge and just getting destroyed. If they had, I don't think they even, yeah, they didn't have recon still. If they actually had recon here and the AI had used a fanaticism and a blitz ruse, he probably could have pushed through here and killed it, all my stuff maybe. But he didn't, so that made it pretty easy for me, thankfully, to actually hold them back. Because my 90 mils are just in the back dealing damage, my tanks are aligned against infantry, and they're a bit of a meat shield as well, though I'm pretty sure they're just one-shots, but still. Penguin, on the other hand, he's got the most interesting fight here. Thomas is using his P-40 Warhawk fighters to try and shoot down the enemy Ruse, the Hurricanes, the Typhoons, etc. from the British and the Japanese air forces. The French are just spamming FCMs. Oh my god, they have so many FCMs. The French is probably one of our biggest problems, that and the Japanese OE, because the OE were destroying all the unarmed units that we were producing. Like, I'm trying to send some 90mm up, as well as some 47mm AT guns, but they were getting hit by the Japanese OE. And these tanks got freaking flamethrowers as well. Also guys, when I zoom in, it gets extremely loud because of all the rockets and stuff being fired, so, you know, just warning to any headphone users. I know it's a bit late, but yeah. Anyway, let's speed this up a bit. At this point, yeah, my flank was completely secure. I had enough tanks, enough anti-tank capabilities and stuff to kill anything that came over this bridge, especially since this bridge would be such a choke point. So for the rest of the battle, I'm probably just going to be focusing here. Yeah, so, oof, Typhoons, yeah. As you can see, all the Japanese OE are here, they're firing and stuff. I'm trying to help this Penguin. At this point, we weren't sure whether we were going to be able to survive or not, because Penguin had lost like all his KV-1s, and Thomas basically just had a bunch of fighter planes. He couldn't really do much. But yeah, so I had to start spamming out AT and stuff to get some help there. I still had my artillery doing nothing really, but whatever. I was using them to kill the Gobitsa. All the Gobitsa were dead by now, so I didn't really have to worry too much. And the Russians were out of steam, so I was able to keep them bottled up there pretty easily. So I focused most of my efforts now on helping my partners in the middle. So there was some Wellington medium bombers coming through, so I'm pretty sure I put some AA out at some point. And there we go, this is where I put the prototype base stuff, guys. I put the prototype base and I'm like, wait, Thomas, you guys are absolute idiots. I can actually produce Caro M26s or P26s, whatever the hell they're called, as well as the Brenda dual purpose guns, and they don't require research. And when I discovered that, well, I just started spamming them out everywhere. But yeah, right now this battle in the middle is getting pretty desperate, like, as you can see. Penguin is pushing forward here with his KV-1s, trying to get rid of these OEs and stuff. The French right now, I don't know what they're doing. If they just came over here with all their FCMs, push forward, they could have wiped through everything. These planes can't do anything. None of them are fighter bombers. These are all freaking artillery guns, right? Yeah, these are all push artilleries, and he only has a couple tanks. And I hadn't sent much help either. Yes. Yeah, there you go. The Caro P26s are coming out now. And I also have some Auto Blender 40s, the Recon, the Armored Recon. I couldn't upgrade them to the better versions, but it was fine. So, but at this point now, I was trying to send some help to my partners because Penguin was in dire straits and he needed it. So yeah. Let me just speed this up a bit. Right now, he's just using these KV-1s. He's using this mountain and he's going back and forth, trying to kill everything he can. Okay, I got like, what is this, 10 maybe? I got like 10 Caro P26s, and yes, the Breda 90mm, well, 90/53. What is it? Let's see, 90. Breda DA 90 powerful 90mm AA gun fixed on the rear platform of a Breda transport truck. Yeah. So basically, these Breda dual-purpose guns were kind of what saved us. Unfortunately, they have no armor. Like you can see, they have absolutely no armor at all. So yeah, that was their biggest weakness, because they could get hit by fighters, they could get hit by these Autos, the OE, any artillery and stuff that decided to take a hit at them. Anyway, as you can see, I got a super stack here. Like, I'm pretty safe on this side. Nothing's getting through there anytime soon. I had some AA here in case of any bombers trying to get over to my bases. And let me just speed this up now. Yeah. Okay, and this is a pretty big push. FCM F1s, the S35 medium tanks, which are pretty crap, but yeah. So while Penguin dealt with them on the right, I pushed up with my Bredas as well as my Caro P26s and tried to offer some support, you know, by going up the middle and drawing some enemy fire. He's losing so many units, it's crazy. Penguin is just losing KV-1s left, right and center, and he's pumping out more of them as well. But he was able to close the distance, and he's making a lot of the FCM F1's retreat here, so he is very lucky for that. As for me, yeah, my push kind of died by now. I managed to take out their one depot though, at least, and I drew the Japanese away. So Penguin was only fighting the French here rather than the French and the Japs. But all my stuff were dead by now. And Penguin's entire KV-1 force that also died. And while a lot of the FCMs were injured, they were not dead. So yeah, that was a pretty big issue. And yeah, this is where I start spamming some more Breda 90mm, Breda 90mm, or 90, yeah, whatever. Meantime, Thomas is just sending his planes, trying to kill some of the enemy fighter bombers and stuff. Now the Japs came in and the French came in, and Penguin is just sandwiched between them, and everything of his is just dying. Even with the fan, it's all just dying. Thomas tried to send a Wolverine or two to help, but yeah. Oh, there, he's spamming a whole lot of Wolverines now. So thankfully, Thomas is sending some help now, some Wolverine tank destroyers, and I'm also spamming some Carro P26s, and I have this line. Just this line of death, this line of red at 90mm, like these actually saved it. Like just look at them. They're just firing and destroying all these FCMs. Absolutely destructive. This was the big turning point in the battle, like holy crap. We nearly got pushed back, but luckily we were able to make a comeback. Penguin would have been defeated here, but luckily Thomas by now had some bases up here that he could send support from, and I also had my prototype bases up that I could send Carro P26s and some Predator 90mm from. So we managed to finally defeat this FCM and S35 push. But just look at all these dead tanks. Like look at the husks of all these tanks. There's just so many everywhere. And I just have to make a death stack here. Any of the Russians try to push forward died. Like they all just died over here. Anyway, let me speed this up now, because now it's basically just clearing up the enemy. I think I'm preparing my pushes now. Like I'm starting to spam a whole lot of Predator 90mm as well as I spam a whole lot of Carro P26s, and I get a massive death stack here so I can push forward and take out the Russian HQ. And I also start making another death stack in the middle here to push up and try to take out the Japanese if I could. Let me slow this down. So yeah, Japanese are pushing out R.U.S.E. They do have an OE or two left, but not much. And Penguin and Thomas are both pushing up on the French flank over here. Yeah, but just remember now, like the KP-1s have a 400-meter hit range, and the Wolverines, I'm not sure if I can see any, but the Wolverines are also at much shorter range, so yeah. They had to try and close the distance between the greater range of the FCMs to actually get in range to be able to fire back. Wolverines also got a 400-meter range, yeah. AT guns 450-meter range, which is slightly better, but still outranged by the FCM. If the AI had just dropped a fanaticism, he could have destroyed this entire push, but he didn't. Yeah, now the entire push had died over there. So all the tanks and stuff had died. And now this is where I had my one smaller stack. This wasn't a really big death stack, but it was. I thought it was big enough to try push through and hopefully kill everything there. So that's what I did. As you can see, I pushed through all my Carro P26s along with the recon that I had over there, the Orsa Blinders and the Predator 90s, and I pushed straight up this path here between these two mountains, straight to the Japanese base. And for those wondering, this map is Kasserine Pass, and yeah, it's a campaign map that was brought and made into a multiplayer map by Super Crumpets, and I think Prolution is also working on some new ones as well. But yeah, obviously the map is not balanced or anything because it's a campaign map, and the depots, they haven't been placed in the correct areas. Like they haven't been placed everywhere they needed to be because the map wasn't completed. So yeah. Now let me just go to my view. So yeah, as you can see, I had this absolute massive 112 unit stack of just Brendas, the Caro P26s. I got my 90mm AA and AT guns, and yeah, I just got a whole dead stack. I'm pushing forward there now, and over here I'm pushing through my units. So I activated radio silence because I didn't want to take any fighter bombers. So obviously the British probably had a whole lot of Typhoons and stuff and Hurricanes, and I didn't want them to come through and just decimate my stack before I got there, so I activated radio silence there. Let's go back to Camp Neutral. Oh yeah, so Penguin and Thomas are building another attack force of Wolverine tank destroyers as well as KV-1s to push up against the French. But yeah. So I'm pushing the Japanese over here now. I feel so bad for people living in these houses, just being in the middle of a war zone. And having my tanks drive through their houses as well. Oops. These Hori are much better. They have a 500-meter range, which outranges my Caro P26s. My Brendas, no, my Brendas actually outrange them. The Brendas have a 600-meter range, which is really good, but yeah. So now I just pushed up and I'm trying to destroy their bases and stuff as much as I can. And yeah, that one bomb from the Ruse nearly killed all my Brendas. But I've destroyed a prototype base, I've destroyed a barracks, I managed to take out the airfield and as well as a couple other buildings, the armor base, a couple of the admins. So I'm able to cripple them pretty well there. Meantime, yeah, these guys are going over the bridge, but as you can see, they're getting a bit stuck on the bridge, so it takes a bit of time before they're able to actually get over. And I've fanned, I've blitzed, and I'm just trying to kill everything I can over here. Armor base is down, admin is down. We also killed the admin over there, yeah. I just had some of my tanks now fight these Hori, while some of the other tanks try to focus on their buildings if they were just possible. Yeah, and that was pretty much the end of this step here, but as you can see, I pushed all the way up here, I killed all these Hori, I killed a couple bases, I destroyed a couple admins, so that was pretty good. In the meantime, the French, well, yeah, Thomas had a big army of bombers, and he basically bombed all the French buildings. So that was the end of the French base. French base is completely gone now. He has nothing left. It's just the Japanese, but the Japanese is weakened a lot. Like, I've destroyed a lot of their buildings and most of their army as well. So I pretty much took care of the Japanese here. The British is still alive, but he's only got a bunch of Fireflies and stuff, not really any of the best stuff. And it's not enough to deal with this death stack that we've managed to build up now. So yeah. And for me, I finally got my army through, and now I'm gonna push them forward. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna pretty soon I'm gonna blitz them. I'm gonna blitz and radio silence, I think. I'm not sure if I radio silence. I may have radio silence though in case of any enemy RT/fighter bombers, because I don't want them to hit my Breda 90s. But yeah, there's a big push now. So this was Penguin and Thomas pushing together, and he's got a whole lot of Katyushas as well. It's not really doing much, but it just looks really cool with all the rockets flying overhead and stuff. Anyway, let me speed this up. So yeah, my stack's moving forward, their stack is also moving forward over here. And who knows, the French could maybe have done a decent amount of damage against us, like more than they already did, if they had all their FCMs grouped up here in like a firing line with Fana, and they just destroyed everything as it came on. But unfortunately they didn't, so yeah. Though obviously even the few that they do have here, look at how much damage it's stole away. Not being able to have upgraded units was just so hard, like holy crap. In the meantime, yeah, okay, so I'm pushing through now here. I've already destroyed all their forward defenses, their IS-3s and stuff. So let me just speed this up. So now I just blitz straight into their base. I've killed all the units, I'm just clearing out everything before I turn around and come back for you. And in the meantime, I built another death stack. Though this one is only tanks, I believe, with maybe a few, yeah, there's only 1 or 2 Brenda 90s here. Most of it is just Caro P26s. And so I just decided to blitz them straight up the valley there. As you can see, the British is trying to stop me with his fireflies and stuff, but I have too much. He's even sending in his Typhoons and stuff, but it's just not enough. As for Penguin and Thomas, yeah, they've managed to push up and they've destroyed all the French resistance here. Though they lost a lot of stuff, obviously. They lost a whole lot of stuff. But they were able to push up now. Even with the British Typhoons coming in, there's just not enough. There's only like 1 or 2 Typhoons. The AI only has 1 prototype base and it's got a few FCMs, just not enough to actually do much. I've cleared out the Russian in the meantime, and I've turned this massive Doom stack around, and I'm gonna clear up the rest of these Russian units, push straight up, take out the British base, and clear everything. So I'm gonna speed this up because the battle is basically over at this point. I just got my stacks going, destroying everything. Another prototype surrenders, another prototype surrenders. They had a whole bunch. The Japanese had some more left. So all I do is I just go build a massive army of Caro P26s and push up and destroy it. And that was the end of that. So if we look at the overview, I made 13,000 income, Thomas made 25,000, Penguin only made 8 grand, but that's because he didn't focus much on income. Instead, me and Thomas did most of the income. He was busy holding. And as you can see by his stats, Penguin had 3k kills and he had 6,500 losses, but that's because of his position, and he was our first wave of defense. He was just holding on, like he dug his nails in and he fought for that. Thomas had 10k kills to basically 3k deaths. I had 12,000 kills and 3.7k deaths. So yeah, the AIs all did decent. I mean, obviously we beat them, but yeah, this was a pretty good challenge. And if you guys want to see more challenge videos like this, then let me know and I'll make sure we do some for you, because we already got plans to make it even harder. Like maybe next time we can obviously no research again, but this time we can't even use the prototype base. So I wouldn't be able to build those big armies of Caros and stuff because no prototype base at all. Or another challenge we thought about was where each of us can only use 1 base. For example, if it's me, Penguin, Thomas, and Timmy, for example, I pick maybe airfields. So I can only build units from my airfields. I can only build airfields. Obviously, I can build admins and depots and stuff, but I can't build any barracks, armor base, anything else. So if I choose one, like airfields, Thomas chooses maybe tank base, Penguin chooses like barracks, Timmy chooses like anti-tank or something. We only have 4 bases that we can actually use to build stuff. So those are some of the ideas. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy this video, please drop a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on those post notifications, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.